Good morning, everyone. This is your 2-minute warning. I see some folks are already helping themselves to coffee and refreshments. You've got 120 seconds to refresh yourself, and then we'll convene and start this meeting. And a hush falls over the crowd. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Bonjour, bienvenue à tous et à toutes. Je suis très contente de pouvoir partager cette heure ensemble avec vous ce matin. I'm thrilled to share this time with you today, whether you're joining here in person or anywhere across the province online. These town halls are really a great opportunity for us to reconnect, to learn from one another, and to remind each other of where we are as an organization, where we're going, and the impact that together we're making. Now, to start things in a good way, I will invite Andrew Terhoff, spiritual health practitioner, to the stage to lead us in a land acknowledgement and a mindful moment. Andrew.
Thanks, Ben. As I was arriving this morning, Elder Marta came to say hello and asked if she could join me today. And so, Elder Marta, I invite you to come up to join me here. Thank you for being here with me.
Yeah.
We are gathered here on Treaty 1 lands at St.Amant, the lands of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Anishinaabe, the Dakota, the Dene, the Innuak, and Saulteaux people.
Yes.
And this very land is Métis land, long before it was St.Amant. It was land that was cared for by the Gervais family.
Yeah.
And just down the road, we have
Right.
the Riel family homestead.
Yeah.
And so we know that this land is the birthplace of the Red River Métis Nation, and so we honor that here today too.
Yep.
And we honor that the water we get to drink comes from Treaty 3 territory at Shoal Lake.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a blessing that we've known for
Yes.
a long time in Winnipeg, and it's a blessing that many families in Manitoba
Yeah.
sadly do not know, clean drinking water.
Right.
And so we practice deep gratitude for the water that we drink.
I wanted to know what I was that my doctor that they talk from they know my doctor everybody else that everybody that you are that the spirit that wanted that everybody.
You invite everybody in June.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have ceremony in June.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Very good. I come to you today as a grandchild of I'm a second generation Canadian, a grandchild of grandparents that came from England and Poland, the Celtic world,
Yeah,
and
my
Germany.
grandma.
Your grandma too? Yeah. And when
My grandma was because my grandma was because my grandma was she come here.
she came here and now you're here,
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah.
And when my grandparents arrived, they were escaping a very difficult situation in Europe. And they arrived on these lands and were given the privilege and the blessing to create a life of love and family. And I know that my life of love and gratitude comes out of their life of love and family. And I also know that at the very time they were arriving here, your ancestors were suffering deep harms, and your communities were being harmed, your families, your people's families were being harmed. And so I hold that truth in my heart that at the very same time my life was beginning in Canada, many Indigenous families were suffering the opposite.
So what they say that after everybody else that's the loss that because everybody else did, and that everybody else had told that I worked in the museum.
They're working hard?
Yes,
Okay.
and the museum.
You want to see them?
Yeah.
Your ancestors. That's a beautiful thing. They live in our heart, right?
Yeah.
This is something I'm learning from you as an elder and your people, that our ancestors are always with us.
Yeah, I wanted to know that I didn't know that my sisters told me that, and they told me that okay. I was if my auntie, yeah.
Your aunties, yeah. So I want to just express to you my gratitude for all the teachings you're sharing with me. This is something that I'm learning about these lands and these waters and the natural world, that this is a spiritual relationship we have. And so I'm grateful for those teachings. And I acknowledge those harms of the past and my commitment to the present day and the harms of the present day, to ensuring that Manitoba is a loving place for everyone who lives here, and that I contribute to that, and may we all contribute to that.
Yes.
Before we came up here today, we prepared in line with your teachings a spirit plate.
Right.
This is a tradition of practice. Every time we gather and food will be served, we make a plate for the ancestors first.
That's a thing.
That's right. We make a plate for the ancestors, and we'll deliver this to the land after today's meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, and the ancestors will feast on this, and as a result of this gift, they'll watch over us.
That was the because the sisters, my auntie said that I never told. My aunt and my grandma said that was she come and got me.
Okay, so she's watching over you.
Yeah.
In your heart.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So we will take this to the land after. If anyone wants to join us, they can join us. We'll take it out to the land and give it to our ancestors and leave it for them, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to share in a mindful moment with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we rest our eyes? You can take my arm. Rest our eyes. Anyone who'd like to join us, you can rest your eyes. You can feel your feet resting on the floor. Take a couple of easy breaths in and out. And if you like, bring to mind the gifts of spring, something you have gratitude for in this season. Perhaps it's qualities in nature or people that you get to see more, some way of being that spring brings alive in you. As you breathe in deeply and breathe out deeply, allow a smile of gratitude to come to the corners of your mouth. Smile to all of the gifts of this season of renewal. May we hold this gratitude in our hearts as we go forward in this day. And we're reminded that some days are easier for us and some days are hard. And so we're going to read a little poem to close. This is called That Is Plenty.
Okay.
Help in the way you can, not how you think you ought to. So if you can't wear your heart on the outside every day,
Yeah,
don't.
I don't.
And if all you have within you on certain days is a smile to a stranger, or simply a smile to yourself,
Yep,
that is plenty.
yep,
May this gathering today nourish us, and may it create hearts,
yep,
feelings in our hearts that allow us to do good work in the future.
yes.
All right. Thank you, Elder Marta, for joining me today. May we all have a great meeting together.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I've got a few updates to share with you now, just to get proceed with our agenda, and we'll start with this year's provincial budget and what it means for St.Amant. And I'm very pleased to share that St.Amant fared quite well in this year's budget. We were delighted to receive additional funding so that we could develop a third respite home as part of our Children's Respite and Family Support Services. As you know, this service is a very important resource for community. It's there for families who are experiencing such significant caregiving pressures that their family is at risk of breakdown and potentially the child entering into the child welfare system. Not for protection reasons, but due to overwhelm. So we want kids to grow up in healthy and loving families. And we know, and the Children's Respite and Family Support Services gives both parents and kids a break while offering important clinical supports to the family. Counseling to heal and make new meaning of their experiences, behavioral psychology and occupational therapy supports to help develop new skills that should encourage greater resilience and confidence. We know demand for that service is high, and the opening of a third home sometime later in the year will allow us to better respond to those pressing unmet needs. The budget also included a $5 million investment in St.Amant to enhance autism services. This is significant. In fact, it's the largest net new investment in autism services in Manitoba in at least 15 years, if not longer. And as many of you know, the number of individuals being diagnosed with autism continues to grow. I learned just this week, we're seeing as many as 60 referrals per month to our autism case management service. That's over, 600 a year. That's a significant demand. And so this is an opportunity to respond to that demand. So this funding is both timely and necessary. And I just want to point out, the province had any number of options when it came to investing in autism services, but they chose to entrust that new funding to us. That speaks to the confidence that this government has in our organization, in the clinical knowledge that our teams have, the compassionate and person-centered approach that they take, and the administrative ability to deliver on our commitments. So we are tasked with reducing wait lists, and we will certainly be doing that. But otherwise, we have wide latitude to think very creatively about how to meet the unmet needs of autistic Manitobans and their families across the province. So there's an opportunity here to think about how can we help in ways that maybe would never be able to do otherwise. So it's a very exciting time, and we're determined to do the best that we can. So a small working group right now is looking closely at the needs of autistic Manitobans across different ages and stages of life, and I look forward to sharing more updates with you about that in the future. On the topic of funding, I'd also like to share a little bit more about the status of our Jordan's Principal services. In past town halls, you've heard about some of the changes to Jordan's Principal across the country, and in our case, as a reminder, we've shifted from having one service agreement with the federal government to now having individual service agreements with each of the almost 55 First Nations that we support. And after months of uncertainty, I'm really happy to share that we are in a much more stable place. All of the nations that we supported previously still want our teams involved, and that really speaks to the strong and respectful relationships that our teams have established with their partners in community over 9 years now of service delivery. So now what that means is we can shift much more of our focus back to where it belongs, which is on the quality of services and supports that we provide. So shifting gears a little bit, as you may know, one of the focus areas in our strategic plan is healthy team. We cannot do our work alone. We all count on each other. And there's no question about the importance of an engaged, well-trained, and compassionate workforce, one where everyone, no matter who you are, is respected and recognized for their abilities. Oh, I didn't see you up there. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Respected and recognized for their abilities, that people know that they have the potential to grow and that they can contribute fully with all of their gifts and strengths. And so that's why it's important for us to know how you're doing. And that's why we introduced a quick engagement temperature check survey this year for the years in between our larger engagement surveys. So this year, 465 staff and 79 volunteers responded, and that helps to give us a good snapshot of engagement across the organization. We really appreciate that, so thanks to everyone who shared their insights. We're currently analyzing those results and look forward to sharing more of them with you soon. That focus on healthy team is also one of the reasons that St.Amant participated for a second time in St.Amant's Shared Health's Racial Climate Survey. We had 761 staff complete the survey. That's a 36% response rate, which is very good, and it's in line with the results of the first survey. The results will help us to better understand where racism and discrimination may still exist in our organization and what we'll need to do to make this place a more welcoming community and an inclusive community. We expect to receive those results later this spring and look forward to sharing them with you as soon as we can. Finally, on the topic of healthy team, I want to recognize our long-tenured staff and amazing volunteers. So back in March, we celebrated long service milestones for about 40 staff across the organization. So those are colleagues who marked 20, 25 years or more of service. One person celebrated 45 years of service this year. Isn't that amazing? And collectively, that group holds over 900 years of experience and wisdom. That's over 900 years of living our values and bringing out the best in the people around them. So huge respect for that group of colleagues. And with just a week to go until the National Volunteer Week, I also need to celebrate our volunteers. I was blown away to find out that we had in the last year 553 volunteers in this organization, and they collectively donated over 18,000 hours of time. That's the equivalent of 9 full-time positions. Yes. So that's 18,000 hours of caring, 18,000 hours divided by 553 people who show up just to make people's lives better, to create connection, to support people, to experience friendship, to not be alone, to do things that bring them joy in their lives. So grateful for those volunteers, and I really look forward to celebrating that at the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, which is next week. So let's give them one more round of applause because they are so awesome. Okay. So our strategic plan also includes 5 commitment statements, 5 commitments that show up in all of our work. And those commitments are to accessibility, diversity and equity, human rights, sustainability, and truth and reconciliation. With respect to truth and reconciliation, we're currently working together with an Indigenous consultant named Rhonda Forks, and she's helping us to develop an Indigenous advisory circle. Our hope is that this circle will provide guidance and feedback to help us ensure we're moving forward in a good way and mindful to truly embed our commitment to truth and reconciliation into all of our strategic decisions and actions. My goal is to see that advisory circle start to meet within the next few months, and really excited to introduce that group to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, if you're looking for ways to move forward in your own journey towards truth and reconciliation, you can check out the Truth and Reconciliation page on Blink. There's a lot of great resources there. You could review the 94 calls to action or reflect on how they might apply in your own work. You could attend a ceremony here at St.Amant or elsewhere in the community. All of those actions cumulatively add up and contribute to our collective effort to truth and reconciliation. Now, just a little bit more about the strategic plan. We're now entering year 3 of our 5-year plan. So that means we're approaching the midpoint on this journey already. The point of the entire plan is to steer St.Amant in the right direction so that we can continue to do the right thing for Manitobans with disabilities. We want children to grow up with their families and in their communities. We want adults with disabilities to be recognized as full citizens, treated with respect and dignity, enjoying all of the rights and responsibilities that come with their role as citizens in our community. And at the end of the day, that's what all of us are here to do, no matter what our role is. But we know that our community is changing, and our commitment to meeting unmet needs compels us to evolve alongside our community. That is how we stay relevant and how we stay connected to our mission. So, for example, it's because the adults we support in community are getting older that we're conducting dementia screenings at key milestone ages to detect changes early on. It's because we're seeing more children and youth who need supports for complex, challenging behavior that we're looking very carefully at how we deliver stabilization services and at how we can bring our various stabilization services together to create a true continuum, to make sure people are being supported at the right level, in the right place, at the right time. It's because we're so committed to the rights and the dignity of the people that we support that we're focused on upholding the highest standards with respect to monitoring and limiting restraint use and rights restrictions more broadly. And of course, we are very focused on the ongoing evolution of health and transition services. You'll hear more about some of the exciting work taking place to support children with medical complexity in just a few minutes. So those are just a few examples of the strategic work that directly impacts people we support, and our strategic plan guides that journey of change. But let's remember that St.Amant itself has already changed significantly in the last few years. We now employ about 2,100 people. We serve more people in more parts of the province than ever before. And I want to acknowledge that our centralized services have done a great job to adapt to St.Amant's growing complexity too. They've done remarkable work to improve their processes, increase efficiency, and maximize their impact. High quality, smooth functioning systems in HR, IT, or finance, not to mention effective management of our buildings and equipment, are all critical to our broader strategic goals. So in just a minute, you're going to hear from Cheryl Sluice from our project management office about some of the work in front of us for this coming year. But let me just talk a little bit about what we mean when we talk about projects first. So we spent a lot of time this year thinking about strategic projects. What are they for? What is a project after all? What makes one strategic? Well, a project is a vehicle to accelerate change that has already started or to serve as a catalyst when we need to introduce new change or a necessary innovation into the organization. So a project helps us to introduce something new, to shift how we work, or to move forward to where we need to be as an organization. And so every organizational strategic project, which you're about to learn about, meets at least one of the following criteria. They're important to the overall health and sustainability of the organization. They address reputational or potential reputational risk issues. They impact significant numbers of people we support. They support deeper integration internally, and or they tie directly into how we act on our core values. All of our work, whether it's directly with people we support or not, is vital to our overall mission and success. And all of our work is an expression of our commitment to the worth and dignity of every person. And so on that note, it's my great pleasure to invite Cheryl Sluice to provide an update on our strategic plan. So Cheryl, I'll turn the floor to you.
expanded our training, and we delivered our first Leaders Love Learning Month, which resulted in an almost 13% increase in leader training completion rates. We know that achieving success within our projects requires collaboration, commitment, and a shared understanding of our broader organizational goals. And that comes from all of you. So I just want to thank you. Thank everyone who has contributed their time, their expertise, and their energy to moving. Now, shifting to 2026, year 3 of our strategic plan, I'm so excited to be able to share what's on the horizon. Some of the work that we've been focusing on over the past couple of months includes reflecting on how we are structuring our project work and defining the different types of work that we do, planning and executing a strategy day for our executive team, scheduling project approvals, and we're also in the process of scheduling program strategy days for teams. Finally, we have a confirmed list of strategic projects. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the list of organizational strategic projects we're undertaking in year 3. These are all projects that reflect our core commitment to people's rights. They're critical to organizational health and the future of our organization, or they have significant impact on reputation or large numbers of people. And all of these projects are supported by the Project Management Office. Drum roll, please. So, under innovation and capacity building, there are 2 projects. Number 1, we'll work to connect the continuum of stabilization services internally. That is children's respite and family support services, community stabilization services, and the health and transition services stabilization service. In future years, we'll integrate the provincial context and truly understand what the needs are, what opportunities exist to ultimately strengthen the continuum of supports for children and adults with behavior stabilization needs. The second project has us continuing to develop a pathway for medically complex children, including executing phase 1 staffing and service model, identifying and delivering education and training that our staff need, and looking at our physical space needs. Of course, this is our One Step Closer to Home project. There's also 5 projects under the quality services focus area. It bears repeating that our objectives here include strengthening quality measurement, maximizing the use of internal resources, having the service experience or improving the service experience for people we support and their families and caregivers, and removing unnecessary rights restrictions and minimizing the use of restraints. The first project is maximizing the use of respite resources in health and transition services. Project number 2, we will work on a case management waitlist strategy by connecting with families with children who've been diagnosed with autism to assess needs and identify and share resources with families who are waiting for services. Number 3, the number of children in Manitoba diagnosed continues to increase significantly, and our wait lists continue to grow. So we will look at ways to support more children in Manitoba through autism programs. Number 4, we will see us continue with restraint work. We know that restraints should only be applied for the shortest time necessary and in the least restrictive manner to keep someone safe. We will support programs to develop program-level policies and procedures, develop a framework for data collection and reporting, and develop training for staff. Finally, we need to ensure that all programs are performing rights audits and identifying reductions where possible. As Ben said earlier, all of these projects are important to the health and sustainability of the organization. They'll address reputational risk issues, or they'll have impact, or they will impact significant numbers of people that we support. And they support deeper internal integration, or they tie directly to our core values. We also have 10 additional projects that fall into the program strategic category that will help us reach our vision, our North Star, which is an inclusive Manitoba where everyone is empowered to live their best life. I won't name all the projects, but I just want to highlight a few. We'll continue our efforts to keep families together by expanding our children's respite service. We will further our accreditation journey for programs not yet accredited. We will focus on data integrity and reporting out of Gold Care to ensure that we have the data that we need to make good decisions about how we deliver service and support people here at St.Amant. Our operations team will be establishing an energy reduction plan, which is so important in this time of fiscal restraint. And we'll develop an organizational succession plan and update our professional development policy. We also have some work that lands in what we call a must-do bucket. That includes bargaining for MGEU community and MHACP, collective agreements, a new accreditation cycle for programs that are involved with Council for Quality Leadership, or CQL, updating our accessibility plan, and creating an Indigenous advisory circle. We know that achieving these project objectives isn't something that happens in isolation. It takes collaboration, commitment, and a shared understanding of our broader organizational goals. So thank you to those of you that will be participating in these year 3 projects. Let's remember this collaboration, this effort going into year 3, and make it a year to remember. A quick reminder that if you're looking for updates on our strategic work, you can find them in the hub or in the quick links section of Blink. And as always, if you have any questions about projects, indicators, or the strategic plan implementation, please reach out to myself or Chantal Champagne. Thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, Chantal, thank you so much. And now we're going to move right to my colleague, Sarah Mankolo, Director of Health and Transition Services, to provide some updates on the One Step Closer to Home project. So Sarah, I will turn the virtual floor over to you.
That's great, thank you so much. I'm just trying to share my presentation. Cheryl, and oh, here we go. Someone could give me a thumbs up or a indicator that, oh, I see myself. Perfect. Thanks, Cheryl. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the agenda today. I appreciate everybody's patience and accommodation in having me virtually today while I'm at home recovering from an injury. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of our strategic projects, which is called One Step Closer to Home. I'm hopeful that for many of you, this is actually a repeat of information, as we have done some prior presentations, both in person through Blink and at Leaders Meeting. But here's another opportunity to hear about this exciting work. Go. So this project, One Step Closer to Home, it falls under the focus area of innovation and capacity building. It has the objective of strengthening the continuum of supports for children and youth with medical complexity. And the key performance indicator, or how we measure success, is the occupancy rate of our complex care beds in H&TS. And for those of you who don't know, those beds are on the second floor on the east side, or Child and Young Adult Health Services East. And this project has 2 primary goals. We want to ensure existing pediatric capacity in H&TS is maximized through short-term transitionary care. And we also, and very importantly, want to establish a coordinated and integrated system of care for children with medical complexity across 3 separate service organizations, namely Children's Hospital, St.Amant, and Specialized Services for Children and Youth, and Rehab Center for Children. And this project is exciting for a lot of reasons. And I do just want to take the time to acknowledge one of the really exciting parts of this project, which is our project team. I'm not going to list all of the names, but I did want to just highlight for everybody that our project team actually consists of folks from across all 3 organizations and service sectors. So we have membership from acute care, community care, as well as St.Amant on our project team. And these are are folks with leadership roles, content experts, and all of us are sharing the commitment of improving care for children with medical complexity. And a significant kudos to Cheryl, our project manager, who keeps us all on track, which is not an easy feat. So as you can imagine, with the amount of people involved in this work and the 3 separate sectors involved in this work, relationship building, strategic collaboration, and learning from others were essential first steps in ensuring our own organization's goals were achievable. And so the first 2 years of this project were really spent on this important foundational work. Children with medical complexity are served by many in this province, and this group agrees that it's really up to us to ensure that their care journeys are as seamless as possible. And with that in mind, some of our early guiding questions as we built relationships and built the vision for this project included: how do we maximize the use of existing pediatric beds in health and transition services? How do we identify the children that would benefit from services in HTS as early as possible in their acute care stay? How do we ensure transitions from one place to another, including to home, are as seamless and collaborative as possible? How do we ensure staff across all 3 organizations and sectors have the skills and resources necessary to provide consistent care, inclusive of family teaching? How do we communicate this work and engage staff at all 3 organizations? And then also, how can we learn from others that are already doing this work well? Sorry, just give me one sec here. It's my first time presenting virtually in this forum, so. Okay, so with these questions in mind, one of our first priorities was to ensure that all 3 sectors were talking about the same kiddos. Manitoba is one of the last provinces to have a coordinated system of care for children with medical complexity. And a key achievement in this project is the development of a formal definition for children with medical complexity that will be used across all 3 sectors and all 3 organizations. And although it doesn't always feel good to define people or speak about limitations, having this definition ensures that this underserved population can access the continuum of supports available to them. And the benefits of this continuum are many. So children receive the supports they need in the environment that is best suited for their current needs, also known as right care in the right place at the right time. Parents or caregivers aren't required to take on the role of case manager for their children, which is often the case currently. Risk is reduced and outcomes are improved through coordinated planning, communication, and care delivery. And staff education and training, policy and care guidelines are all streamlined and consistent. And so another key question we asked ourselves, as well as we've heard through our other presentation Q&As, is, well, how is this different from what we're already doing? Health and Transition Services has been supporting medically complex kids for years. And, starting in earnest in about 2020, we really moved away from being a forever home for the kiddos that were here to that short-term service model. However, even with that work we were doing, we know that there are kids out there that could benefit from our services, but currently cannot access them. Children with high technology needs, such as assisted ventilation, children with longer-term rehabilitation needs, continue to stay in acute care well past their acute phase of care. And to meet this unmet need, and to ensure pediatric bed use in H&TS is maximized, our pediatric services in HTS must evolve. And so what does all of that mean? Well, to put it very simply, it means change. It means change for everyone who supports pediatrics in H&TS, including leaders. It means continued employment for staff in HTS in the face of a declining census. It means enhanced education and training, adjustments and enhancements in the staffing model and model of care, alignment of communication, documentation, policy, and practice with other organizations are all part of the evolution that we're going to continue working on in year 3 of the strategic plan. And so, as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, we've held a number of information sessions with multiple staff groups and leaders over the past few months. Throughout those sessions, there was excitement, engagement, as well as willingness to share some initial fears about the change. We have a robust change management and communication plan in place to ensure that staff remain informed and engaged along the way. There is a project board, newly installed project board on Child and Young Adult Health Services East, and this board will be the main source of project updates. We encourage all leaders and staff who are involved or impacted by this work to view the board, attend project huddles, and to ask or post questions. And so as we move into year 3, we are incredibly excited to keep our momentum going, and we're all working together to help kids get one step closer to home. And so I will invite all of you to reflect on that presentation, or even think about questions if you've attended a previous presentation, and bring those forward during our Q&A period later in the town hall. Thank you all so much.
Am I on? There we go. Cheryl, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Always love to hear about that work and the ways that we can help more children in the years ahead. Now, I'm really excited to invite Philip Bialk from the Inclusive Minds Committee to come up and tell us about the myrightsmatters.ca website. Philip?
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Lot of energy? I am here to talk about the launch. My Rights Matter. .ca is a website created by people with disabilities for people with disabilities. It's a place to learn about your rights, how to stand up, speak up, be heard, and be a leader. The work is about inclusion and bringing people together to find a unified voice to stand up for our rights. It was created through collaboration between self-advocates from Inclusive Minds, Talk It Up, and We Matter. The website is designed so you can explore it in whatever way works best for you at your own pace. Each module includes videos and stories from people with disabilities, activities you can try, and extra resources you can use anytime. There's something for everyone, including support providers. There's a module focused on supporting authentic leadership and what it really means to support people to lead their own lives. There's so much to learn from this, and learning is universal. One of the most important parts of this work is understanding why it matters. In order to move forward, you need to know what happened, acknowledge it, and learn from it. What people experienced in institutions like MDC are acts of oppression. And people with disabilities still experience oppression today. Restricting someone's human rights is an act of oppression. That's why this website is so important. I interviewed executive directors and leaders of the organization who already support self-advocate committees. Their message is clear. When agencies listen, they do better. Let's take a watch.
Hello, my name is Philip Bjalk. I am the chair of the St.Amant Self-Advocate Committee. I am here to ask executive directors and CEOs one big question. What do you think of the self-advocate committees?
Hi, Philip.
Do you have a few minutes to talk about the self-advocate committee?
Of course I do. Come on in.
Why do you think it's important to have a self-advocate committee?
A self-advocates committee is a great way for us to hear the voices of the people we support so that we know what to keep doing and how to do better all the time.
Does St.Amant have a self-advocate committee?
We sure do. We're so thankful for all the members of the self-advocate committee for lending their wisdom and their passion to help us do a better job.
Do you have any advice on how to support a self-advocate committee?
The biggest piece of advice I'd give to any leader is say yes when folks ask to create one. And then ask, how can I help? We're here to support people without telling them what to do or getting in the way. And really making sure that everybody who works at St.Amant understands that really listening is an important part of the job. So that not only do we hear from the people through the Self-Advocates Committee, but you listen to people every day that you work with them.
Yes is the mother to all opportunities.
Agreed.
Can you hold the door?
Yes,
Can I ask you a couple questions about the Self-Advocate Committee?
absolutely.
Why are Self-Advocate Committees so important?
Well, they change how we think. And when people with lived experience lead, everything changes.
Does Epic Opportunities have a Self-Advocate Committee?
Yes, we do. And they help set priorities for the organization.
Do you have any advice on supporting a Self-Advocate Committee?
Yes, don't do it just to check a box. Make it real and put resources in place to make it last.
There's a leader in all of us.
Absolutely.
Ruby, thank you very much for all of your time and energy.
My pleasure.
Have a nice day.
You.
Hey, Philip, how you doing?
Hello, Charmaine.
Good to see you.
Why is it important to have a Self-Advocate Committee?
For us at New Directions, it's important because the people that we support need a voice and they need to tell us what's working for them and what's not working for them. And we as organizations have to have the responsibility of making sure that things are good for everybody.
Does New Directions have a Self-Advocate Committee?
We do. Last time we had our strategic planning sessions, we asked people with lived experience to weigh in on what they wanted more from us in the future. And at that point, we realized boy, we need to be checking in with people on a more regular basis. So that is when that started for us. Do you have any advice on how to support a self-advocate committee? I think for this, it's kind of keep it simple, ask some questions, listen and respond, but most importantly, really keep those lines of communication open. Thank you, Charmaine. Everybody is a champion. See you later. Good seeing you. Take care. You too. There you have it. Self-advocate committees aren't just a nice idea. They're about people's freedoms and rights. Executive directors get it. So, if your organization doesn't have a self-advocate committee, now it is time to start the conversation.
I want to leave you with this. Take responsibility. Learn the history. Learn your rights. And if you are a support person, take responsibility to support others to learn about their rights too. Everyone has the same human rights. This work doesn't stop here. New modules are coming, and this website has the potential to reach people across Canada. We hope you'll explore it, use it, and keep coming back. And we'd love to invite you to our launch event on April 30th at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. It's from 1 to 3. We have it's a historic date. We have dignitaries, we have a reception, and we have all this exciting stuff for you to share on that historic day. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a nice day.
Philip, thank you so much. That was incredible. Let's take a 5-minute break, grab some refreshments, and we will come back for a Q&A and the panel discussion. everybody. One more minute and we'll get back to it. So 1 more minute. All right, welcome back to the second half of our town hall. I know there's a few people still grabbing coffee, and I'll ask people to grab their drink or their cookie and make their way back to their chairs. Verna, you're retired. You're not supposed to be here. I knew you couldn't stay away. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, let's get started. We have a number of questions in the question and answer phase of this town hall that came in advance through Blink. So thank you to everybody who submitted a question in advance. There's also a microphone here if anyone would like to ask a question in person. And if there are questions in person, we'll alternate Blink questions and in-person questions. So I know people are still getting back to their seats. So as they're doing that, people can also make their way to the microphone, but I'll just get us started with a couple of questions that came through on Blink. So there were a couple of questions about what to do if you notice a spill in the hallway or in the cafeteria. Maybe there's some food on the floor or something like that. What should you do? Well, the answer is to contact Environmental Services. They do a great job of maintaining our site. And if there's something that needs cleaning up or some extra attention, you can reach them at environmentalservices@St.Amant.ca, and they will be there to help. The next question we received was about the Spirit Cottage. So someone asked if checkout time for the Spirit Cottage is at 11 a.m., why does Environmental Services wait until the evening to go over and clean it up? And the answer is that during the daytime, staff are quite busy maintaining the main buildings in the 440 campus. So this building, secondary building, and so on. And so it's the evening shift that has a little bit more flexibility to help out with the Spirit Cottage. That said, if there is some, particular reason why a family may need to come and check in a little bit early, or some other reason why we need the Spirit Cottage, or you would need the Spirit Cottage cleaned up earlier than evening, all you have to do is reach out to Environmental Services, and I'm sure they will do their best to accommodate that request. I'll ask one more, and perhaps these last 20 seconds is a chance for people to find the courage to come up and ask a question in person if they wish. People are determined to stay seated. That's okay. So the next question we got was, why is the pond / waterfall in the atrium not being used right now? It's been dry for about the last year and a half or so. And the answer from operations is that they've decommissioned it for the time being due to the humidity issues that it causes and how those are contributing to some of the issues with the ongoing leaking in the skylights as well. So that is why. I'm going to pause again to see if anyone is looking to make their way to the mic. A certain somebody whose name happens to be Verna has come to the floor. Verna, hello.
Hello, Beth.
This is your only chance to ask me a question. What would you like to ask?
baby change table in the front hall.
Yes.
I don't know if we made any progress, but I have a suggestion.
Well, I'll give you the status update, and Tanya, I'm looking at you. If you want to help me with this, go ahead. My understanding right now is, we've discovered that they're a little more expensive than we realized. They're in the $30,000 range. We had a lead on one that didn't quite work out, and we are working on a strategy to acquire one, because there's no question that we need a fully accessible washroom where adults who require an adult-sized change table can have access to that. So there's no question there. So
And we've got the pretty H-track. What I was going to suggest is that we have a parent association, and maybe we could be involved in fundraising or doing something in that direction.
that's an intriguing idea, and I will direct you to Tanya, Executive Director of the Foundation, to develop that idea.
Okay.
And if you and the people around you want to help with that, I'm sure we'd love to find a way to enlist your help.
Okay, and I have another question.
Go for it.
I notice now that I'm a volunteer in Rena's room, and
Okay.
that's where the wheelchair people are.
Yeah.
When we come in the back door, there is no flat part going in. So if we're trying to take somebody inside, the door doesn't stay open. So we're trying to swipe our way in
Right.
while the chair's on an angle because there's no platform. Can we make a platform or make one of those magic things that you push that actually
So you're looking for a fully accessible entranceway
pretty
from the
much
back.
because
Yeah.
right now, because the people that are ambulant can walk
Yeah.
in there no problem, but
Yeah.
for the wheelchairs, there's nowhere to sit them while you open the door.
For sure. So I see the issue, and that's an excellent idea. I think we should find some time to talk to Caroline, Director of Operations, to see what we can do about that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Great
Okay.
questions, and good to
Sounds-
see you. Okay. And we've known each other a long time. We're allowed to tease each other a little bit. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read a couple more from the list here, and then we'll turn it back to the floor. Next question, can we get more working microwaves? We have 4, but at least one is often not working. And you are correct. We do have 4 microwaves, commercial microwaves in the cafeteria. There are, however, some limitations with our electrical infrastructure. This is an old building, and that can create some challenges for us sometimes. If a microwave is not working, please let environmental services know so that they can take a look and respond as best as they can. Any more questions from the floor? Got 4 minutes. Okay, Michelle's keeping me on time. Thank you, Michelle. Next question is about the micro market. Person wrote in that they appreciate having the micro market. There used to be some hot food options that are not currently available. Will they come back? Is the gist of the question. And the answer to that question is the micro market is not actually owned and operated by St.Amant. There's a third party that's responsible for stocking that space. So when they decide what to put on the shelves or in the freezer based on what people buy. So it's really about supply and demand, and it's market driven, and so that's what determines what is available in the micro market. But if there's specific questions or specific feedback, I would really encourage you to connect with Caroline Kramer, Director of Operations. I've got a couple more I'm going to get through. 2 are about health and transition services. So the first question is, what is the plan for the 3rd floor, given that there are a number of vacant beds? The person who wrote the question said, a lot of us are worried about job security. So that's a really important thing, and I'm really glad you brought it forward. And I want to be very clear, there are no plans for job loss in health and transition services. We respect our staff, we value their work, and while people's work may change as the population we support within health and transition changes, we have no plans to eliminate people's jobs. So that's not something you should be worrying about right now. We are in constant conversations with our funders around how we can use the resources we've been entrusted with by the WRHA in health and transition services to provide meaningful short-term resources to our community in ways that keep people out of hospital and support them on their journey back home. The next question, is there a plan towards moving to provide respite for ambulatory individuals at St.Amant as a preventative strategy to avoid family burnout? That's a great question, and as you heard earlier in the town hall today, one of the strategic projects that we have on the docket for this coming year is to explore options for how to enhance respite offerings within health and transition services so that we can make the most of what we've got and help as many people as we can and be of service where we can. How many? I got 1 more minute. Okay. Quickly, our letterhead says, has free the spirit fulfilling potential together on it. And I think that's an old mission statement for St.Amant. Where did it come from and what is its meaning? That's a great question, and none of us could find the official answer. If there's anyone here who knows the history, please let me know. But I can tell you that all of us find it, or at least, well, speaking for myself, I find it very poetic, it's very inspiring, it speaks to our commitment to attending to the spirit, seeing the gifts that people have, and helping them to live the lives they want to live. And I think that's why it endures, even though it's not the official mission statement anymore. There's a couple ones that I think people are really looking for answers to, and I'm going to hit these ones really, or address these ones really quickly. Okay, let me go. Okay, update on MGU support-related retro payments. So folks who are MGEU support-related, non-union staff, waiting for their retros, thank you for your patience. It's on the way. Payroll has been very, very busy these last number of months. There's been lots of collective agreements, T4s, and much more, but it is in the queue. So as soon as we have a confirmed date, you will hear about it. So hang on just a little bit longer. Really appreciate your patience. Next, why does St.Amant have an insurance requirement for external vendors or entertainment who come to St.Amant and specifically to this building? Excuse me. And the answer is, of course we want to support people to have all of the good experiences that they want to have, but we do also have some obligations as an organization through our insurers. We do have to manage our risks and exposure and liability, and insurance is a requirement that we do have to work through. If there are third-party folks who want to come in who are not sure how to acquire insurance, we have helped with that in the past, and we'd be happy to do it again. Caroline Kramer is your person. She can help answer those questions for you. We had a question about mileage rates. Oh, Marta's got a question. I think we're going to go 2 minutes extra, and then we're going to stop. And any other questions we'll answer through a video after this and post that to Blink. Marta, you have a question? Come on up.
One does it's the children children that I wanted. I was told because it's the people that the support.
So the question is about children?
Yeah.
And people we support?
Yes.
And can you tell me the rest of your question again, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Things that was why that because of the children, the support the staff.
So it's about we want to support children and other people we support and make sure staff are supported too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody here has an important job, which is to support each other and to support the kids that we work with and to support the adults that we work with so everyone can have a good life.
So they were told that and because I was the children that I was not the children because an adult that noted it.
I missed the last part, Marta.
Today?
Today?
Yes.
Yeah?
Told the children to support.
So you told the children we support and you want them to come here?
Yes.
Okay, well, everyone is invited and we've got some students just up there. We can say hi to them.
Hello!
Hello. Thanks for being here. Marta, thanks for your question, okay? Okay. All right. There's two more questions I think people are waiting for an answer to, and I really want to get to these really quickly. So one is about mileage rates. We all know that gas prices have gone way, way up in the last few weeks, and generally speaking, repair costs or maintenance costs for vehicles have gone up too. The question is, when will we increase or adjust our mileage rates? We don't set the mileage rates ourselves. We follow the province of Manitoba's mileage rates. They use a formula. Twice a year, they look at how gas prices change over the course of the 6-month period that they're looking at, and then they adjust the mileage rates based on that formula. And we are required to follow that formula. And I think you can find that just about every employer would do the same. And so that's how we settle, those are the rates that we implement, and we should be receiving an update sometime this spring in the next little while from the province with revised rates. So as soon as those rates are available, we will certainly let you know, and we will implement those rates as soon as we can. The last question I'm going to get to today has to do with pay adjustments for clinical staff. So we did make some adjustments, as clinicians will know, in line with recent rate increases in the broader labor force. There was a question about whether we would also bring in long service steps, 20, 25 years, for example. So the answer there is we were very happy to finally be able to introduce new wage scales for clinical staff. In and around the same time that we did that, we also saw a new bargaining unit be created here. That's MAHCP. And normally, once a new bargaining unit is established, any decisions around wage increases or adjustments to scales are made through the collective bargaining process. We respect our union partners, we respect the collective bargaining process, and for that reason, we don't have any plans to make any further changes to wages outside of collective bargaining. So that's what I can tell you about that. So thank you for all the good questions, and I know that we are a little bit behind schedule here, so we're going to move right into our panel discussion, and I'll invite our panelists to come up and join me right now. Okay, and I think we'll need a microphone for our panelists. Awesome, thank you. So welcome. We are going to talk today about the School Community Outreach Program. This is an amazing program. I'm so thrilled that we get to learn from the experts who are actually doing that work today. And so let's get started by just inviting each of you, and Paige, we'll start with you, just to introduce yourself and talk about your role in the service.
So my name is Paige Hastings-Van, and I'm the occupational therapist up at St.Amant School and with the school outreach team.
Hi, I'm Ben Stafford. I am the full-time teacher on the St.Amant School outreach team.
And I'm Patricia Herbert. I'm a resource teacher in St.Amant School involved with developing the outreach team.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. And I just want to acknowledge we had a fourth panelist today, Catherine Kalinowski, who unfortunately was unable to join us, but she's here in spirit, and we'll try to channel her answers as we go through today, too. Okay, so just to start, can I ask Patricia to tell us a little bit about the history of the community, of the school outreach program, you know, what it is and why it matters?
Yeah, so St.Amant School is here at 440 River Road, and we're supporting individuals with complex medical needs and complex behavioral needs. Over the past 15 years, we've gone into schools and provided consultations. So teachers like Doug, Joyce, Dorcas in the past have provided this service, and it's a brief service that supports schools who are struggling to support students with complex behavioral needs. And by that, I mean what we used to call challenging behaviors. So we recognized that there was more of a need, that it wasn't enough just to go in for those 4 days. We were being approached more and more by principals and student services representatives that there is a growing population of students that require extra supports, and especially those students who have those complex behavioral needs. And that's really our area of expertise at St.Amant School. So we wanted to do more. We wanted to figure out a way that we could help more students, help more schools, help more families. So we brought on Ben because Daryl and I were going out. Daryl, our safety coordinator, is also involved in this. So him and I have been going out over the past few years providing this service. And we recognized that we didn't have the capacity to do this full time. So we brought on Ben Stafford, who was able to do it full time, and Suzanne Marias was involved in developing the program. So we really were brainstorming, how can we make more of a difference in students' lives and make more of an impact on their broader community? So we wanted to focus on a few things. We wanted to provide strategies that we know work with students with complex behavioral needs, but we also wanted to mentor teachers and train support staff that are working with these students. Students that we're working with might not be attending school at all, or their days might be reduced. So we're really putting families at risk of breakdown. There might be job loss involved in those families if their students can't attend school, and we're also putting stigma on those students. So in order to help these schools, we were looking at providing that training and that sort of mentorship so that they could go on and not just support those specific students, but support more and more students, so it could be more impactful. So in that first year, it was just Ben and Daryl going out into the community. This is the second year of the outreach team, and we're really excited that Paige, our occupational therapist, has joined, our SLP has joined, behavior analyst, our behavior technician, and 2 of our safety supports. So it's a big team, and we are really fortunate at St.Amant School to have a lot of expertise and knowledge, and we're really excited to share that because, like you talked about, fulfilling potential, freeing the spirit, we believe in those things, and we believe that all students should have those.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ben, in your experience, what are the most effective supports that schools can implement to better serve students with autism and complex behavioral needs while still maintaining a safe and inclusive environment for all learners?
Thanks, Ben. So over the past 2 school years, I have observed a pattern of challenges that school teams experience, and I've identified 4 or 5 of these. By no means is this every challenge, but these are the foundational challenges that I've observed. So let's get into it. First is adequate staffing roles and role clarity are foundational. This means having enough trained support staff like EAs, resource teachers, and clinicians, so responsibilities are clearly defined and interventions are consistent. When roles are ambiguous, students receive mixed responses, which often escalates behavior rather than stabilizing it. Second, schools need embedded professional learning, not one-off workshops and PDs. Ongoing trainings in areas like co-regulation, trauma-informed practice, and data collection allow staff to respond proactively instead of reactively. Just as important, staff need time to collaborate, meet, and debrief to actually apply these strategies in context. Third, structured environments are predictable. Systems should be school-wide. This includes consistent use of visual supports, visual schedules, clear routines, and shared language. When every adult responds in similar ways, students experience less anxiety and fewer behavioral escalations. Something as I always tell my team, my school teams I support, is a schedule is just as important to the student as it is the staff supporting them. Fourth, access to specialized support services, that's us, such as psychologists, behavior consultants, speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, safety specialists, music therapists, just to name a few. These professionals mentor, coach, and help design individualized, function-based interventions. Finally, and often overlooked, is staff well-being and regulation. Supporting students with complex needs requires adults who are calm, consistent, and feel supported themselves. Systems that include proper training, emphasis on wellness, admin support, and realistic expectations help staff sustain this work over time. Bottom line, inclusive and safe environments are not created by isolated strategies. They are built through consistent, coordinated, and well-supported systems where every adult is equipped, aligned, and supported to respond effectively and consistently. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Paige, I'm going to turn to you. How does occupational therapy in the school outreach program support students through sensory processing?
Yes, and I'll start by saying that I think one of my favorite things about this team is that we're always working together and they're supporting students day to day as a team. So the interdisciplinary team that we work on really helps to kind of create that holistic and client-centered plan. But from an OT lens, I'm often looking at sensory processing and how that might be impacting a client in the school, either with their participation or engagement in school tasks. So just for those who don't know, sensory processing is just the way our brain takes in and responds to different sensory information. So that could be things that we see, touch, taste, smell, but also senses that we often don't think of. So proprioception, which is where our body is in space, and movement. And we all kind of have these different sensory preferences, whether we know it or not, like whether we like to get a workout in before our day at work or have our coffee and tea in the morning. So just like us, our students kind of have those preferences and can benefit from either increasing or decreasing sensory information within their school environment. And then the students that we work with, often we're starting kind of by creating a foundation for co-regulation in the classroom. So a lot of the time, our sessions just look like play. We look to supporting co-regulation, so modeling play activities, working with staff on how they can calm their bodies to help support and model regulation for students who might need that extra support. And I brought a couple of tools just to show everyone of things that we... Oh, that'd be good. Thank you, Ben. So this is our vibrating cushion. So it helps to provide the students who benefit from the therapeutic use of vibration. If you push it really hard, sometimes it's been left in my car a little bit too long, but it helps to provide tactile and proprioceptive input to our brains and bodies. So we can use these either in seated tasks, so sitting at a desk and doing puzzles, or even a school task can help to increase attention, but also during movement-based tasks. We can use it in an obstacle course as a fun way to add another stepping stone. And then a lot of our students like to find the button inside and are very curious as to where it all comes from. The second one I have is a spinning light-up wand. So this is very loved by many of our students. Yes. We just got it working again today, so I'm glad it was working for this presentation. But it helps to provide visual input by light, movement, and also a little bit of sound as well. And yeah, it's one of our most loved items. And then the last one that I always have in my bag is bubbles. So this can be a good way to increase visual input, promote visual tracking and fine motor skills, but also practice requesting, turn taking, and then practicing those calming strategies. So it helps to provide a visual for taking a deep breath as well. And then just for our role on the team is to help support staff in implementing these strategies along with strategies from other disciplines to help support kiddos in schools. And we hope that these are implemented day to day and then long after our time with the team. So
that's great. So it sounds like collectively you're really finding ways to meet the needs of individual students, understanding their sensory processing needs, for example, but also transfer generalizable skills and concepts to school teams, right, to make that difference. Amazing. So we are coming to the end of our time together. We're coming to the end of Town Hall, but Ben, I'm going to give you the last word on this one. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about a time that you knew the team was making a difference and how that made a difference to you too.
Sure, thanks, Ben. So this actually happened a few weeks ago. I walked into a school, as I usually do, and I kind of double-taked the gentleman who was sitting there kind of waiting to make eye contact with me. And I said, you look familiar. He said, yes, we worked together last year at a school. I am the inclusion coordinator for the school division, and you made such a difference with the student and the school team. I'm here to be your shadow, if you don't mind, to take notes and to help my team build capacity as we go further on. And there's no greater compliment I could receive than somebody wanting to ask questions, to engage with me, to know what I know or to know what we know as a team. Just so we know that we might be helping a student here, but the lasting effects, there's layers to it. That we never know who's listening, who's paying attention to what, and what they can carry on and teach to their teams in their home schools. Really building that capacity is paramount.
For sure. None of us can do this alone. We have to learn and share with each other so that we can all do our part, right? Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing what you do. Your passion just shines through. Let's give our panelists a big round of applause.
Yeah. Can we quickly shout out the members that aren't on this team right now?
So we just want to say Suzanne Marias, Cameron Sisson, Lindsay Morris, Catherine Kalinowski, Marissa Levesque, Daryl Elksney, and Alex Osarin are also a big part of this team, and we appreciate them so much.
Awesome. It takes a village, right?
They're the best.
Fantastic. That brings us to the end of our town hall for today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for all of your work every day. I wish you an excellent day, and if you have questions, you know where to find me. Thank you so much.